And we're very, very happy to welcome both members and our district leaders from Region 6 to the event. I know that Melissa McGavick is on the line. She is our international director. Melissa, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but would you like to say hello? I saw her and then she's gone. Well, she's here and she was waving when I introduced her.
Yeah, she might be frozen. There she is. She's moving.
She's on mute though.
And you're on mute. So
I didn't know what we were saying.
I just said welcome, and you're our international director, so I wondered if you wanted to say hello.
Thank you all for coming. I'm really excited about the topic. Hybrid meetings are definitely the way everything is going. I'm really looking forward to tonight's presentation. So I'm thanking Alan for being our presenter.
Absolutely. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rhonda Maurer. I'm one of the co-region advisors for Region 6, and I'm so thrilled you're joining us this evening. And I'd like to introduce my co-region advisor, Karen Isaacs, who will get us started. Karen?
Thank you so much, Rhonda, and thank you, Melissa. It is a pleasure, and I am just as excited as you guys are to learn more about hybrid meetings. Because, even beyond Toastmasters, it's a very hot topic, even in our corporate world. And this is a topic that, we are coming together because we listened to you and we knew this was something you wanted to get more information about. So I'm very excited that Alan has decided to be our guest speaker tonight. And I feel very honored and privileged to introduce this esteemed guest speaker. Alan is an accomplished businessman as he owns his own business, his own contracting business. He's also an accomplished scholar. He has 3 master's degrees. That's amazing. And Alan is also a dedicated Toastmaster. He served as a past international director from the years 2013 through 2015. And he has held a number of high-level profile Toastmaster positions. He's also a very active member in his home club, Vineyard Toastmasters in Indianapolis, Indiana. Alan is a working ambassador for Toastmasters. And I am so thrilled to know him as a friend, and he's also my mentor. And Alan, I'm going to share a quote that you had published, and I just think it's so fitting. Alan says, Toastmasters allows me to continue my education in leadership and communication. It also gives me a chance to share, teach, and mentor others. And I can guarantee you, anyone that knows Alan, this is such a true statement. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, please join me in welcoming my mentor and friend, past international director, and present Toastmasters Presidential Citation recipient, distinguished Toastmaster Alan Shaner, who will speak to us today about how to make hybrid meetings work. Turn it over to you, Alan.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everyone. Gosh, Karen, I'm impressed. I didn't even write that introduction. I owe you big time. Well, good evening, everybody. So I want to start with a question to every one of you. How many of you really take it to heart that Toastmasters is a safe place to fail? Just a quick show of hands, those of you that are on video. Now, do you really take this to heart? Because I did. I thought, what do we have to lose? Let's try having blended meetings at my home Toastmasters club. the good news for all of you is I think we've made just about every failure and mistake that you can possibly make to learn how to make this work right. And that's what I hope to share with all of you tonight is what we did, all the failings that we had, and you learn more by failure than you do by success, and how to do things so you don't have the same problems that we have. So let's start with just a little bit of history, a little bit of background history. In 2013, when I was a member of the board of directors, we made the decision and voted to allow blended meetings, but it was going to be for virtual members only, and we were going to limit it to 3 virtual members only per club. That was a long time ago. That was 8 years ago. The next thing that happened is we decided to allow virtual only clubs. But a virtual only club was like a gavel club. It was not part of a district, and a virtual club was run by world headquarters. And then in 2020, COVID-19 hit, and it hit with a big bang. And I know, of course, Melissa's on the board of directors now. I don't know if she was on the board at that time, but board of directors had a lot of work to do, and they had to do it quick. And for those of you that don't know what members of the board of directors do, if you've been an area director or division director, you know how busy you are. If you've been a district director, you know how busy you are. You may not see them, but the members of the board of directors, Melissa McGavick, are more busy than you can ever imagine. It's almost a full-time job that you volunteered for. They had a lot of work to do, and they got busy, and they decided that clubs could now meet virtually, and that clubs would now, meeting virtually, be run by districts and not by world headquarters anymore, and that new virtual clubs could be formed, and those new virtual clubs would belong to a district, would not be like a gavel club and not count towards your numbers. And then moving the clock forward a little bit, in late 2020, early 2021, clubs were allowed to have blended meetings, depending on what your local laws were. And my home club, Vineyard Toastmasters, decided, what do we got to lose? Let's try having blended meetings. So we started in October of 2020. And again, I think we made about every mistake you could make. But as Melissa said earlier, it's not the wave of the future, it's now. And it's going to forever be blended meetings for Toastmasters clubs. So we all need to adapt to change. Some members can make live meetings. Some members cannot make live meetings. Some members live a long distance and can only attend virtually. In my home club, Vineyard Toastmasters, we've had a member join from Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Of course, again, we're in Indianapolis, Indiana. We also have one of our members move away from Indianapolis. She now lives in Cocoa Beach, Florida, right on the beach. Everybody get jealous. She walks out her back door and there's the ocean and the beach. She lives in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and she attends our meetings virtually. So we have 2 members that will probably never be able to attend live meetings unless for some reason they come back to Indianapolis. But this is also an opportunity for clubs to gain new members, members that you never thought would be able to join your club before. In fact, tonight, we could have very easily have invited the president of Toastmasters, Margaret Page, to attend this meeting, or perhaps one of the past presidents. Anybody can attend the meetings. I've had the pleasure of attending meetings virtually all over the world, China, India, Australia. It's really been quite the experience. So there's some things that you really might want to take some notes on. And here's your first thing, is to have a blended meeting. you're going to be broadcasting probably on Zoom, maybe some other platform, but you have to have a very strong and very fast internet connection. What we found was that cell phone hotspots don't work that well. They're just not fast enough. Another thing to keep in mind, and this is a really big point, please do write this down. For your audio on blended meetings, only one laptop can have on its microphone and speakers. If there's more than one laptop that has its microphone on, even if they have their speakers turned down all the way, you're going to get an echo. So only one laptop can have on a microphone and speakers. And we'll get to that a little bit more as we go on. Auxiliary speakers can be plugged into that same laptop. And really, that's what you need, because the speakers on a laptop are just not loud enough for a meeting where you may have 15, 20 people live, and there's always a little bit of background noise. And the speakers on a laptop just aren't strong enough. They're good for a quiet setting, but not for a noisy setting. So you need to have additional speakers to boost the sound for your live audience. And also, I recommend that you use an omnidirectional microphone. They're actually, what we have just started using in our club is called a dongle. And again, I'm still being educated on this. A dongle is an omnidirectional microphone and speaker that you plug into the laptop. The speaker is plenty loud for the meeting. An omnidirectional microphone means the speaker can pick up sound from all different directions. A unidirectional microphone can only pick up sound from what is directly in front of the microphone. So make sure you have an omnidirectional microphone and speakers. A dongle is the way to go. Our room setup is we have a video feed from the lectern. So we have one laptop at the lectern. That laptop has the microphone and the speakers. The speaker can now see the audience, and I'm going to just stick with Zoom as a platform. You may be using some other platform, but the speaker at the lectern can now see all the members that are attending virtually. And here's a big learning curve for all your members that are speaking at the lectern, is they have to not only look at the live members in the audience, but they have to remember they're on camera too. So I want you to think of yourself as if you are a newscaster, or you are, say, one of the late night show, I'm trying to think who the late night comedians are today, because I don't really watch them, but they have to face a live audience and look at the camera both. This is what you will have to start practicing to do. We've also set up additional laptops at our meetings at different angles, so the members attending virtually can see all the members that are attending live. This takes a little bit of work, a little bit of practice, and will take at least 2 additional laptops to catch all the live members of the audience. For the live members of the audience, we also project what you're seeing on the screen right now on a screen using a projector, a PowerPoint projector. Again, cannot have the sound on, cannot have the microphones on, but that laptop is dedicated to simply using a PowerPoint projector on a large screen, so all the live members can see all the members on Zoom. And of course, you need to have your Zoom members on the gallery view. You cannot have them on an individual, although you can, but if you want to see everybody at the same time, you would have to have them on the gallery view. However, if one of them is giving a speech, you may decide to go to speaker view. The screen should be in the front of the room, but off to the side of the lectern. Now, at this time, I'm going to share a diagram with you, and don't make fun of it. It's a hand-drawn diagram. So let's take a look at this. So here's what we have done at our club. Up here, you see that's where our club banner is. That's our Toastmasters Club banner. Way off to the side here, out of view, is our banner that has all our ribbons on it. We also have an audience camera that is elevated over top of the speaker's head. The speaker would be right here, but this is elevated to catch all the different members of the audience. Speaker would be here. We have our lectern, and we have a milk crate with our laptop sitting on here. And then you can see off to the side here, speakers, so the audience can hear what's going on. On this table, we have our PowerPoint projector and our screen that's not quite at a 45-degree angle, and it's hanging from the ceiling. And it is a large screen. And I got very lucky buying this at an auction, a $300 screen I was able to buy for $5. So people keep in mind that when schools are auctioning off excess equipment, you can pick up PowerPoint projectors and screens for almost nothing. You can see that our room is in a U shape. So we have our members sitting on the outside of the tables all the way around. But this is the basic setup for what we are doing in that Vineyard Toastmasters Club. Now there's some things, other things that we have learned along the way, and I'm going to leave this up for all of you. If any of you want to take a screenshot of this, or if you want me to send this diagram to you, I can send it to you if you send me your email. Well, some of the things we learned is usually in Toastmasters, when you introduce somebody from a live audience, there's lots of applause. What we found was that the members that are virtual members or on Zoom don't necessarily hear that applause, and they start speaking right away. They walk on the applause. So what we've decided that we would do is when we introduce somebody that is going to speak from Zoom, it's a single clap. And remember, the applause is led by the person at the lectern. So watch the person at the lectern hold their hands out and do a single clap. And then the person on Zoom can now start speaking. There's other things that you want to consider having blended meetings that you may have already done, is having virtual guest packets. Our club has guest packets that we hand out to members at live meetings, but we had to create virtual guest packets because we do have guests from all over the world attend our meetings, and we want to send them their guest packets so they can understand what our club's all about and the fact that they are welcome as a guest. There's other challenges that we are working on, and I was glad to see Lori Haynes is on here tonight because Lori is our guru in District 11 for helping us with all things that has anything to do with electronic, but we're trying to figure out now is when we're speaking live or speaking virtually, how do we incorporate videos as part of our presentation? It's easy to screen share a picture or a PowerPoint. I haven't quite figured out how to do the videos for the speaker's presentation yet. And another thing that we have thought about, how can we add music to the speaker's presentation if music is needed? And another thing that we should consider is what can we do about closed caption for the hearing impaired? If we have somebody that's hearing impaired, how would we do closed caption? And the final thing, which we have not done yet, we have not had the money to buy, is teleprompters. We see our politicians using teleprompters all the time. They're able to look at the camera with the teleprompters off to the sides here, and they can read what they need to say. And it's again a learning thing in Toastmasters, and it's all part of now. It's not the future, it's now. And we probably will forever be having blended meetings at my club. I have heard there's some clubs that are having live meetings only. They've stopped their Zoom meetings completely. and some of their members are bleeding off into other clubs that allow for attendance either way. I do encourage people to attend live meetings because that's what Toastmasters is all about, is learning to speak live in front of an audience and get those butterflies out. But we also need to learn how to speak on camera. And you need to realize that that little bitty dot in the middle of your screen is the camera, and that there could be 20, there could be 100, there could be way more than that that you're speaking to. And you have to realize that that is a live audience that you're speaking to. And you have to treat that live audience accordingly. At this point, I am going to take questions from anybody that would like to ask questions. And I would like Karen to moderate who she will call on. So anybody that has questions, feel free to ask.
Alan, there are several questions in the chat.
Okay.
The first question, when you were talking about the screen, someone was asking, did you mean a monitor or is it really a screen?
Okay. For the speaker at the lectern, we have a laptop. That is their screen, what they see on the laptop. For the live audience, we actually have a screen hanging from the ceiling and a PowerPoint projector projecting the entire virtual presentation on that screen, so the live members can see all the virtual members. One thing to keep in mind is there's about a 1-second delay in the audio. Haven't figured out how to overcome that problem yet.
And there's another question, and why PowerPoint? What are you doing with PowerPoint?
In our club right now, we are doing the entire Better Speaker series because we have a lot of new members that have joined. And we feel that the Better Speaker series is a great way to get some of these members up to speed. A lot of you remember the old Competent Communicator manuals. That Competent Communicator manual is now spread out throughout pathways. It's not something you do right in the beginning. And there's things that new speakers need to learn. We felt that going with the Better Speaker series was a great way to teach them a lot of the basics of public speaking. And of course, with the Better Speaker series, there's PowerPoint slides that were created by Toastmasters.
Awesome. Another question, and is the laptop camera off? Where does the audience camera feed into? It's getting technical.
The audience camera. Okay, at the lectern, the camera at the lectern is simply for the speaker at the lectern at the live meeting. We have additional members bringing laptops that will join virtually, and they usually will I will rename instead of having my name, I put Vineyard Toastmasters Live, and then point my camera to one side of the room. And then we also have a laptop on that side of the room pointing back towards me that's showing the people live towards me. Now those cameras are on, but again, the microphones and the speakers are off.
Okay, Stephen would like to ask a question live.
Sure.
Stephen Britton.
Thank you, Karen. Hi, Alan. My
Hi,
question for you is, what about the option of, so we tried at our our meeting one time about a month ago, and instead of, we did it very similar, the layout that you showed, but instead of having the laptop in front of you, we set it up with another camera on a tripod. So you were looking at the camera as the speaker in the live audience, and then that's what the Zoom attendees were seeing also, and then the projector was off to the side. Now, we didn't have enough members. We wanted to have like a moderator controlling the laptop. But I guess if you're doing sound and video, or if you're doing video in the PowerPoint, then you, as the speaker, you'd probably want that in front of you. I could see that, but what do you think of that as an option? Having a camera in front of you, and then a moderator working the laptop.
Actually, I think it's a great idea, because I think if you had an actual camera in front of you, you're going to tend to pay more attention to the lens of that camera in addition to your live audience, because having the laptop at the lectern actually is, if you can see, the camera is about this level right here. So for me to look into the camera when I'm at the lectern, I have to look down into the camera. So I like the idea of having a camera on a tripod. It's an additional piece of equipment you have to set up at the beginning of the meeting. And it's the only disadvantage I could see is the person speaking could not see the members that are on Zoom unless that laptop's also within their field of vision, which it may be. You may have it set up that way, but I do like the idea of having a camera set up so that the speaker has a camera to look into and speak to, and also has his live audience.
So next, there's another question in the chat. Alan, do you favor any specific manufacturer for hardware and operating systems? For instance, Dell, Windows, Chromebook, etc.
I'm a Mac guy. I use Apple products only. That's just me. I converted to Mac about 11 years ago. And I'm to the point now, I don't even know if I could operate a PC because I've been so addicted to Mac. Mac is a lot more user-friendly than PCs, but everybody has their own personal preference. And at our meeting, I bring 2 Mac computers because I do have 2 Mac laptops. And the other laptop computers there are PCs. So we actually use all of them. And they all work fine.
There are a lot of great questions in the chat, and then people are responding back and forth as well. I have another one. Are you using only the laptop cameras?
We do have a camera on a tripod that we use to broadcast the audience that's live, so the members that are on Zoom can see them a little bit better. So we are using that too. And I do want to add something that I didn't have in my notes here, but I just thought of. When you are using the PowerPoint projector, or actually anybody who's using their laptop, make sure you have your notifications turned off, because those have a real nasty tendency to pop up right in the middle of the screen, right in the middle of a presentation. So make sure you have your notifications turned off for that time period of the Toastmasters meeting.
That's a great point.
Again, something you learn by failure.
Same here. The next one is, and Rhonda, I'm going to ask you to help me make sure I don't miss anyone, because there's a lot of questions in the chat. What if a speaker does not want to be chained to the lectern? How will the Zoom audience see them?
That's actually a very great question. And so let's go back to having a camera on the speaker instead of a laptop. You could do that and operate that camera from the back of the room and zoom forward to the speaker so that it looks like the camera's right in front of the speaker. But you would need somebody to operate that camera at all times. And so if the speaker walks out from behind the lectern to talk, you would have to have a camera operator to follow them. Again, you need to have a really good omnidirectional microphone or a lapel microphone on the speaker so you don't lose their sound. But that, once again, is adding more parts and pieces to the meeting if you have to have a camera operator and you have to have somebody sitting by the PowerPoint projector to make sure nothing goes wrong there and things like that. And remember, we're a volunteer organization, so this is something that requires the members of your club to bring their equipment from home to use, because very few clubs can afford to go out and buy all this equipment that's necessary.
I have a question from Leslie. Do all rule takers come to the lectern like the grammarian? What about the timer? How do you handle the timer? Very good question.
I'm so
Leslie.
glad you asked that. If the timer's on Zoom, timers have the ability to change their background from green to yellow to red. But again, this requires that the speaker being able to see that. So what we learned through trial and error is if the timer is on Zoom, you also need to have a person at the meeting with timing cards. So this live speaker can see timing cards at the live meeting. Likewise, if the timer is at the live meeting and not on Zoom, they simply can hold the cards up in front of the screen of a laptop that is closest to them. And we have to make sure that they do sit close to a laptop so the people on Zoom can see what their time is. I hope that answered, did that answer all the parts of that question?
No, the other part of the question, that was great answer for the timer. Thank you. But the
Yeah.
other part of the question was, what about the role players? Are you having them come up to the lectern to perform
Yeah,
each role?
yes, absolutely. So let's use for an example, let's say, so right now the people that I can see on screen is Karen and Rhonda and Melissa. Let's say I'm giving a speech, and when I'm done, I go sit down at my seat, but it's time to be evaluated. I need to come back in front of the camera if Melissa's evaluating me. That way she can see me, I can see her. At the live meeting, we still ask that if our evaluator is live and our member is live, we have the evaluator at the lectern so the people on Zoom see the evaluator giving their evaluation. Of course, evaluation is a miniature speech. However, if our evaluator is on Zoom, we have the person being evaluated come back to the lectern and be there so everybody on Zoom, including the evaluator, can see the person being evaluated. And by the way, it holds true that you never leave the lectern unattended. So even if your Toastmaster is on Zoom, whoever the last person is at the lectern that spoke stays there until somebody from the live audience relieves them. We never leave the lectern unattended.
Love that. Next, Rhonda, was that the end of that question?
It was, thank you.
Okay. And next, Kathy Trudeau wanted to ask a question live. Kathy?
Okay.
Thank you, Karen. Alan, a lot of what you're talking about when it comes to equipment for some clubs, some community clubs, do not have the luxury of having the equipment you're talking about. The expense begins to become somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000 with a computer, a data projector, the software, whatever. Has anybody at Toastmasters thought about putting together some type of bid where we could all buy equipment at a cheaper cost?
I would direct this question to Melissa.
Melissa,
On the current board of directors, but I'm guessing with everything they have to do, the answer is probably no, because they would probably want to form a committee to study this and research it and things like that. And
you know, it was great that
clubs are independent of the international organization, and
True.
clubs are responsible for their own equipment. The only suggestion I would have for you, if you don't have laptops or projectors, you might consider using your cell phones, because a lot of people do have cell phones.
I appreciate the fact that at least TI has put together a Zoom discount for clubs.
Yeah.
That's a step in the right direction so that we don't have to use individual Zoom accounts, and appreciated that. So maybe something to think about, Melissa, as we move forward, about some type of bulk buy where clubs can buy into equipment. Thank you.
So one thing, Kathy, keep in mind is, like I said, fortunately, a member of our club owns an auction business. And when we need something, he tips us off when it's coming there. Like I said, a lot of the equipment you need can come from schools and colleges that are getting rid of excess equipment. And what we have found is schools are getting rid of their equipment every 2 years. They consider anything 2 years old too old. They're buying all new laptops, all new PowerPoint projectors, new screens, new everything. They're spending our money like, well, not very responsible, I think. But check with a local auction house and find out when one of these educational institutions is going to be bringing stuff there to be auctioned off. And you would be shocked. Usually stuff will sell for less than 5 cents on the dollar.
Incredible.
It is.
Bob asked a question, and referring back to your presentation, please explain why your club uses a single clap instead of applause.
Oh, okay. Yes. Because the members on Zoom evidently have trouble hearing applause. And like a typical club, applause goes on for 5 to 10 seconds. We found that the members on Zoom are already talking and we're not hearing what they're saying because we're still applauding. So we decided that for the members on Zoom, anytime any of them are going to be introduced, the person at the lectern leads the applause with a single clap. That takes a lot of getting used to.
A couple questions here, and there's quite a few comments in the chat box, and we do apologize if we miss you or if we don't get to call on you. We will download the chat, and anything we missed, we'll come back and respond. So no worries if we miss you in the first go round. But a couple questions. One is logistics. How long does it take to set up the room? And then the second question is, someone would like to know more about your digital guest packets.
Okay. To set the room up, initially, we had 1 or 2 people trying to do everything. And we realized this is not sustainable because if one or even both of them miss the meeting, who's going to do this? So we had to make it a team effort. Had to get everybody involved. And that's a way a club should work, is everybody should have a little skin in the game. Everybody needs to get involved. It was taking us a half hour to 40 minutes to set up. At our last meeting, we were not able to get in the meeting because of a mix-up of getting in. The magnetic locks had not unlocked for the doors. So we were not able to get in the meeting until 15 minutes before the meeting started. And at 10 minutes before the meeting started, we were completely set up. We were completely set up in 5 minutes because everybody jumped in. This person did the PowerPoint projector. This person did the lectern. This person did the screen. This one did the table tents and the banner behind the meeting and moving the tables and chairs around. And it was amazing. In 5 minutes, we were completely set up. Just takes practice.
Okay, and then the other question was about the guest packets, Alan.
Oh, the guest packets is, well, each club has its own guest packet that they use. And whatever you have in your guest packet, you probably have an electronic version of it. And by having an electronic version of that, then you simply put that together in a folder, and that's what you would send to somebody that is attending virtually. We've had several members from India attend our meetings, and it's great to have them. And so we're able to send virtual guest packets to them, and a lot of them will comment that they've never seen anything like this. And I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is an idea that I heard from Lori Haynes, who I know is on this call. I think Lori is the one that came up with this idea.
If I could just add to that answer, I know that Toastmasters International has a virtual guest package that you can check out as well.
Oh, okay, very good.
I see a question from Fiona. How do you find a location with all this equipment set up and available to the club? So I'm assuming the question is around maybe the room already has the equipment. Fiona, do you want to elaborate? Are you okay to unmute and talk?
Yeah, I'm assuming that the location will have what we need, and I just need to find the location. I'm not, like, I don't see our club taking on the task of accumulating all of this technology and then going to a room and setting it up. I just don't visualize that happening.
Okay, thanks for the question, Fiona. So our club meets in a government building. It's called the Township Trustee's Office. And they were kind enough to let us have a closet that is locked to keep all our equipment in. Now, also being a government building, everything that we're using, they have, and we do not use their equipment, because if anything breaks while we're using it, we have to pay for it to replace it. So we use only our own equipment at our meetings. So that's something to keep in mind. If you do go somewhere and a PowerPoint projector breaks or screen breaks or something happens, your club may be responsible for replacing it, and it can be quite expensive. So we do use all our own equipment. We've been very fortunate that our PowerPoint projector was donated to us by one of our members who is retired, who bought a brand new PowerPoint projector, couldn't figure out how to use it, got frustrated, and just donated it to the club. And it's actually a brand new PowerPoint projector, and it works great. If you're using one for the first time, don't forget that laptop and PowerPoint projector have to be synced together. So you may have to download some software. So allow time to do that. Something to keep in mind. But our meeting room is a community room and a government building. Now we do have to completely change the room around to meet our needs for the meeting. And then when the meeting's over, we have to return the room back to the way it was. But we do have a very small closet, and I do mean small because this closet's only 3 foot wide, that we put a set of shelves in, and we have all our equipment for our meetings there, except the laptops, because the laptops belong to the members and they always take their laptops home. But the screen, the PowerPoint projector, the lectern, and everything else is in the closet. And our place was so popular that one of the other clubs on the south side of Indianapolis is now meeting at the exact same location we are. We meet on Monday nights every week. They meet on Thursday nights every week. So we now have 2 Toastmasters Club meeting in the same location, just at different times.
Alan, there's a question. What do you recommend for lapel style microphone or Bluetooth microphone? Okay, and
okay, I'm going to recommend against Bluetooth, and here's why. When we go to meetings, and for those of you that have been to conventions and been to business meetings and it's time to vote and we have lots of problems, it's because everybody has their cell phones on, they're texting, doing whatever. Bluetooth is a radio transmitter. Your cell phone is a radio transmitter. There's only so much bandwidth in that room, and cell phones start eating it up. So we ask people to turn their cell phones off. Some do, some don't. But Bluetooth doesn't work that great. Lapel mic, unfortunately, you're chained to the laptop at the lectern. Or if you can plug that microphone into the freestanding camera and use that for your microphone, but you're limited to however long the cord is. I don't have any brand name recommendations for lapel mics, but they do work very good. Keep in mind that lapel mics are very, very sensitive, and if you're wearing any kind of clothing that will brush against the microphone will really pick it up and amplify it.
Dean, you have your hand up. Dean Phillips.
I did have a question and a comment, and I know a lot of people are concerned over the cost of some of this stuff, and I do understand that. One of the comments, though, that I wanted to make is that one of the challenges that we have now as being involved with Toastmasters is a lot of people are club shopping. What I mean by that is in the old days, somebody went to a club, it was on the right day, I'm going to join that club, it's right day, right location, all of that. Now with virtual, people are shopping around and going to visit a lot of different clubs. And if your club doesn't offer certain things, it will be more challenging to recruit members. I just wanted to make a comment about that, just for people to understand that people are searching around for clubs, and people are joining clubs that are thousands of miles away just because it's the right environment, right experience.
Dean, you're exactly right. And remember, Toastmasters is a safe place to fail. So the clubs that don't have the equipment they need, experiment with your cell phones. Your cell phones can carry Zoom. They have cameras in them. They have speakers. You can plug additional auxiliary speakers into a cell phone. It's worth a try if you can't afford the laptop, you can't afford the projector, you can't afford all these different things, is to have these and use them at a live meeting. I mean, it's Toastmasters. What do we got to lose?
There's a question that asks, what strategy do you find works to deal with substantial rent increases?
Rent for what?
Christina, can you elaborate?
Yes, thank you very much there, Alan. In terms of the room rental, there are some locations, I'm up in District 86, and I know it will be affecting District 123 and District 60 because we're all in the same geographical area. But room rentals, especially in the community centers, any of the public locations that are booked through our local cities or towns, they're jacking their room rental fees up on a per hour basis. Some clubs can handle the fee because it's not significant of an increase, and others, the cost has not been adjusted to a post-COVID aspect yet. So memberships, obviously across almost all of our regions, we all admit has gone down a little bit. Club membership numbers are gone down. So spreading an increased room rental across fewer members, it can make it a cost prohibitive situation. What strategies, I'm curious, have worked for others?
Well, that would be a question I think we would need to throw out to the entire group, because I can't answer that because we get our room for free. I can only speak for our location, but where we are, we're in the Township Trustees building. They are not allowed to charge for the community center because we pay property taxes and all that. So they have to provide this room to be available for free. I've been very fortunate that I knew the past township trustee, I know the current township trustee, and I know the future township trustee, and they have all already have it set up for us that every Monday night, the community room from 7 to 8:30 is Vineyard Toastmasters. It's just for us a stroke of luck knowing the right people in the right locations. And we don't have to pay for a room rental, but I would say let's throw that question out to the entire group and see if anybody else has any answers.
I can start off. One of the things you might want to consider doing is shopping for a new room in a location that suits you. It's unfortunate that the rents did go up. Clubs do have to be self-supporting, so you have to either put your fees up to stay where you are, increase your membership to spread it over more people, or search out a new location that would suit the club. Scott, you want to comment on this question?
Yeah, we have clubs that have found success in universities, both for-profit and not-for-profit universities. And surprisingly, real estate agencies and insurance companies tend to have conference rooms that they don't tend to use in the evenings, and they've been rather welcoming to having groups come in the evenings and be able to do that. If you have larger employers that have clubs there, like we have Vera Bradley, that will allow us to come in and use some of their rooms in the evening if we have special meetings for that too. So look for some of those places you might not have ever thought to look for. They have rooms that they don't use anymore, and it gets some folks to at least get in and get some name recognition.
Melissa? Scott.
Thank you, Madam Region Advisor. This is an unusual one, and it's probably the wrong time of the year for our particular region for this recommendation. But to give you an idea of where our club started last year in going hybrid, is we used a pavilion in a community park. It had electricity. We were able to bring a computer and a widescreen, and someone brought their own personal Wi-Fi device, and it was outside. And so it's a little difficult at this time, but it was very inexpensive to use that. We could book it all summer long on the same day, on the same time, because it's in the middle of the work week. We weren't interfering with picnics and gatherings, and that's something unique to try. Also tried businesses that you wouldn't think might have a back room. One club that was looking for a new place found a training room in a bakery, which was interesting. So back to you, Madam Region Advisor.
I still
good too.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I see people are providing some feedback in the chat too, so I would recommend checking out the chat and possibly downloading. There is just so much great information in the chat. I think. Yes, one says sweet idea.
I loved the comment from Stephen Britton, who said, we had an idea to tape a box on the floor with masking tape, for example, the width the speaker can walk and still stay within a fixed camera. I thought that was a really great suggestion.
I think we've covered all of the questions in the chat. If not, we still have a few minutes if anyone had another question or comment. Melissa, you have your hand up. Did you have another? Okay.
Karen, can I reach out to a couple people?
Sure.
I earlier referenced Lori Haynes. Lori has always been the person that has every kind of answer you can, for whatever question you come up with. And Lori, I referred to you a couple times on the here for some of the problems we were having. Did you have any ideas on how you could incorporate videos or music or closed captioning or anything like that for presentations?
I know Zoom now has closed captioning capability. They also have a live transcript. And I've seen that in a lot of the meetings that I've been in. And I don't know if it's on all accounts or only certain accounts. So the live transcript really does, it's transcribing as people are talking. It's not 100% accurate, but it's pretty good from what I've seen. So that could be a possibility for you. For the videos and sound, that may be more dependent on what all devices you have. But I'm sure that you could come up with something for that.
Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
Well, I want to thank Karen and Rhonda for putting this on. I'm honored to have Melissa here, our international director. And I hope I've answered your questions. If not, my email is my name, Alan Shaner 1. That's ALANSHANER, the number 1 at gmail.com. If you want to send any questions to me, you want a copy of the diagram, anything at all, just send me an email and I'll get to you as quick as I can.
Thank you so much, Alan. And I also want to add, this has been fantastic. I just love all the information. And we continue to learn and grow and thrive in this new platform. There's also Toastmasters International has put together a hybrid page where you can, and they keep continually, they're updating that information. There's articles, and there's also just some information that would be helpful to you as we are using this hybrid platform. So I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat. But yeah, make sure you explore that page because there's lots of great information out there. I'll turn it over to Rhonda for final words.
My goodness, I have learned so much. I think we need to learn from the experts that come before us, the people that tried and failed and tried and succeeded. And Alan, I appreciate so much that you're still willing to share your time and energy with our group. I looked at one point, we were over 60 people on the call, all eager to learn from you about hybrid meetings. And you definitely brought your expertise and your A game to the table tonight. So thank you. Thank you so much for donating your time and sharing all this expertise with us.